How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. It's your boy King Calf, and we are here with another review. This review is going to be on one of the first big games of 2024. Unfortunately, it's a remake. That's just the industry nowadays, but we are going to be reviewing Persona 3 Reload, and I got a lot to say about this game because I was really stoked when this got announced. Before we begin, appreciate all the views in my last video. If you haven't, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, leave a like, leave a comment, really helps the channel. I love to hear all your guys' thoughts on, the games I'm reviewing, so don't be afraid and definitely leave a comment down below. But yeah, Persona 3 Reload, I was very excited about this game, and the main reason why is because I didn't play the original Persona 3. I didn't play Persona 3, Persona 3 FES, or Persona 3 Portable. So this was my first chance to really get into the game, and I know that they re-released Persona 3 Portable on Game Pass, I think last year, and I was going to play it, but then I heard that they were making a remake, so I said, you know what, Persona games are long. The story is one of the main events of your Persona games. I'm gonna wait until the remake comes and then experience this story. And man, do I have a lot to say about the story. But I'm getting ahead of myself, guys. So, my history with Persona is, gonna be pretty similar to a lot of yours. I did not play any Persona games until Persona 5 came out. And I played the original. I got day one, got to one of the last dungeons right before the climactic fight in the game, and I kind of messed up with my equips, and I was kind of stuck in this part where I had no SP and I was unable to really progress, and I didn't want to load an earlier save, so I just kind of dropped the game. And then I re-picked it up when Royal came, and I was absolutely obsessed with Royal. I was staying up till like 5, 6 a.m. every night playing it, and Persona 5 Royal has become one of my favorite games of all time. I just love the story, the characters, and I got fully invested in the Persona 5 characters. So I played, Strikers, I played Tactica, I played the Q game, so I was really, really invested in the characters of Persona 5, but I always knew Persona 3 had these special characters, and it was the darkest Persona of all the others, so I was really excited to get into it. I just didn't have a way to play it, and I didn't want to play the portable version because one of the big aspects of Persona is you as your character exploring Japan and going through things and going to stores and all of that. And I know that Persona 3 Portable, which is what was re-released on Xbox, didn't have that. It was more of like a point and click kind of novel thing, and the combat was the same, but I didn't want to experience Persona 3 in that way. So I'm glad I waited for the Reload, because Reload, I'm not gonna lie, Reload is actually amazing. It is an incredible experience, but let's get into it. So I've always loved RPGs, turn-based RPGs, action RPGs, all of that. I love it, specifically JRPGs. Some of my favorite games of all time are JRPGs, and Persona is just in a tier of its own. The Persona games just have crazy, crazy gameplay, great turn-based combat that's very quick and very intuitive, a killer soundtrack. I mean, Persona 5 soundtrack is some of the most amazing music you'll hear in any media, and it's just hilarious that it's part of a game. Persona 3 also has some iconic tracks, and I think that they really nailed some of the remixes in this, but we'll get into the soundtrack later. But yeah, I think Persona 3 and the entire Persona story is just such an incredible experience, because these are life simulators but also dungeon crawlers. And what I mean by life simulators is you're a high school kid and you have to go to class every day and answer questions and study for your midterms, but also you gotta go chill with friends. You have to go ask that girl on a date that you don't have enough courage for yet, and you have to work your way up to being able to ask her out. Like, those kind of things that are realistic things that happen to people in high school, you have to experience it in a game. And it's just really funny because on paper you would think that wouldn't work, but it's just such an addicting gameplay loop that you're just living life. And it just kind of really is funny that it's ironic that people play games to escape reality, but some of the most fun type of games are you role-playing reality. I just think it's a very, very ironic twist, and they nail it with this game. I mean, it's just very addicting. You have to get a part-time job, you gotta make money, and all of that just makes this really, really cool customized experience because you're able to do what you want to do. Like if you want to go work that night, do you want to go chill with your friends? Do you want to go study for the test? All of that is all up to the player. And sure, they will have some moments where you need to, do some linear things or do some actions that are to proceed to progress the story. But overall, it's all up to you. It's what you want to do with your time. And I just think that, Atlas is just so great at giving players the ability to time manage things that are going to benefit them. So one of the big things about Persona is the social links. So in Persona 5 they were called confidants. So if you play Persona 5, that's what you'll know them by, but they were originally called social links, which is what they're called in Persona 3. And social links are the relationships you build with people. So you want to go hang out with a friend, that will help build your magician personas that are in that class, because every persona has a different class. So you chilling with someone will specifically increase the levels and the skills and all of that for different classes. So the social links, they have great storylines, they have great character development moments, but they also help you in combat. And we're going to get into combat later, but I just want to tell you that the social links, it's not just like something to do to waste time. It's not bloat to the game. It specifically enhances the actual ability of your character. So when you go into those dungeon crawling or those boss fights, your personas are stronger because of the relationships you formed with people. And I just think it's a really, really, really cool exchange that, you're doing things and getting character development, but you're also boosting your character by not directly boosting your character. And they did it with Persona 5, they did it with Persona 4, they did it with the original 3, and I think that they really, really improved it in Reload. I heard that because this was one of the first Persona games, had some limitations, but they definitely expanded what you can do in this game, and I think it's for the best. So, Persona 3, if you're into those social links and those character development moments of the Persona franchise, I think that Persona 3 is the definitive version to play the Persona 3 characters. And some of these stories have some wild shit. Like there's one where you're trying to help your buddy who's in high school ask a teacher, and they end up dating, and you're trying to help him not do things stupid that's going to ruin his future. There's some sad, heartbreaking moments where you're hanging out with this old couple in a bookstore, and they tell you that their son died, and you're trying to get them through it. And there's just so many more that I'm not going to spoil, but at first some of them seem very goofy and very silly, but there's actually very, very touching moments that progress through the actual stories that you have with these social links, and they're just things that you want to stick around with. And you almost feel like, as corny as it sounds, that you're forming relationships with real people, because like reality, the more you get to know somebody, the more they're going to open up and tell you their problems or their past. And I just think that they really, really nailed that aspect and that realism to how you interact with people in this game. And it's crazy because this game originally came out in 2007, and this is a remake now, but it just shows you that what they had in 2007 was a winning formula, because this is what all the future Persona games have based their social links and their daytime gameplays off of. And I just think it's an amazing experience, and I definitely recommend going all in with some of these social links, because some of them have some better story parts than the actual main story of the game. But let's get to the gameplay. So the gameplay is going to be your traditional turn-based combat. And how Persona works is the day you go to school, you have a part-time job, you go and coach or teach the track team, or join the track team, join student council, go eat ramen with your friends. You can do all of that, but at nighttime, that's when you actually do the combat. And in this game, there's a tower called Tartarus, which you do find out that is the school, what it turns into, because in Persona 3, there's not 24 hours in a day, there's actually a 25th hour, and it's called the Dark Hour. And that's when all the monsters come out, and when people are sleeping in coffins that aren't affected by the Dark Hour. It's a very, very cool premise. I'm not going to get too into it because there's a lot of twists and turns that you learn in it. But it's a really, really cool setup. So you're playing this 25th hour of the day. You're going into Tartarus, and you're going to be destroying monsters with your own personas. And personas have weaknesses, they have strengths. There's really like a Pokemon aspect to it, where a fire persona is going to be weak against water, or blizzard in this case, or fire is going to be good against wind. they have that Pokemon strength and weaknesses trade-off, and you're trying to find the opponent's weakness the entire time, so then you can do an all-out attack. And I just think it's a really, really addictive gameplay loop, which, goes to show that look at Pokemon. Pokemon hasn't changed their shit in like what, 25, 30 years. It's a winning formula. Strength and weaknesses. You're also able to catch other personas, so this is where you're able to capture other ones, so that has like that catching them all aspect. And then you can fuse them together, so you can take two personas and turn them into a stronger persona. It's a really, really fun gameplay loop, and the turn-based combat. I know turn-based combat isn't for everyone, but they really, really enhanced this compared to the original Persona 3. In the original Persona 3, you couldn't even control your party members, which is stupid. I don't know why. I don't know who thought that was a good idea, because Final Fantasy let you control your party members for 15 years before that or whatever. It's a very, very weird design choice, but in this one, luckily, you can control your party members. They also implemented the baton pass in Persona 5. So in Persona 5, if you hit a weakness, you can baton pass to another party member and continue the combo. It makes them stronger. They have that in this, and I think that gameplay is such like a really great addition, because it allows your turn to keep going, the speed of the combat to keep going, and you're boosting and buffing your party up while you're doing it, and it's just like a very, very fun addition that I'm glad they added in and they brought back in Persona 3. So they have that here. They also have Showtime-esque finishing moves that you can do. So, this is pretty much a lot of the great aspects in Persona 5 put into Persona 3. And I just think that it's a great way to make a remake. They could have just done your traditional beat-by-beat remake, but they decided to actually enhance the gameplay. And, as much as I hate how the gaming industry is just all about remakes and all about sequels, if you're going to do it, at least enhance the experience and make it the actual definitive version of playing it, and Atlas did it. So, the gameplay, very, very fun. Exploring Tartarus is definitely a lot more fun than it used to be, because I know that a lot of people thought it was a slog in the original. Tartarus is, it's always randomly generated, so you go there and it's just like a brand new level every time you go to the same floor. But apparently they improve it in this game. And I am, so far, like when I just beat the game, I'm really having a good time with Tartarus. I haven't replayed the game. I don't know if it's something that would get boring eventually, but as of now, after finishing the game for the first time, I enjoyed Tartarus. I thought the dungeon crawling was fun. There was enough variety in the levels and where the chests were and where the enemies were, and the rare enemies and the hard enemies. I think it was really fun, and it had good character interactions with the party. So Tartarus was really fun. Combat is great. Some of the boss fights are insane in this game. So if you're a turn-based combat, lover, Persona is always one of the best that you can play. So I highly, highly recommend that you give this game a try. So the story is, one of the main courses of any Persona game. Actually, it's probably the main course of pretty much any JRPG game. Like, the story is what keeps everything together. And Persona 3 is no different. I am not going to spoil this game, just because, the twists and turns that you get in this game is what really, really makes the experience wonderful, in my opinion. Even the gameplay, I'm not going to show anything past the first 2 months of gameplay. So what I mean by 2 months is 2 months of your character being in school and the things that you deal in the first 2 months of the game. I'm not going to be going past that, just because I think anything after that is really, really going to be spoiling a lot of things in the actual game. So, but what I can say is that the story, it starts off a little slow. It does start off a little slow, like most JRPGs, because they have to establish the world, establish the rules, the characters, etc. But when it gets going, I'd say after the first month, the game really, really gets going. And that's when it really opens up, and you have a lot more choices for your character, and you can meet a lot more people, and your characters don't suck anymore, and you can start having a lot more customization with your personas. That's when the game really starts to, excel, and that's when the story starts to move. I'm not gonna, like I said, spoil the story, but what I can say is that I always heard that Persona 3 was the darkest Persona, and I definitely agree with it. I mean, how they even bring out their persona is dark. They have to shoot themselves with a fake gun in the head in order to summon it, while in the other games they just put on a mask. So definitely a lot more darker, and the game does touch on a lot of dark concepts of like bullying, suicide, political corruption, etc. There's a lot of dark things that the game does touch upon. So if you're weak to those kind of things, then go at your own pace. But I love these kind of storylines. I love storylines that kind of open your eyes to the broader aspects of what reality is. And there's a lot of twists and turns. So if you're a story lover, I mean, definitely Persona 3 has one of the best JRPG stories I've played in a while. So take that as you may, but it's a great story. So I'm very excited for you guys to experience it for yourself, because some of the shit that happens in it literally left my mouth on the ground. But overall, I mean, this game was incredible. It is not better than Persona 5. Persona 5 is definitely in my top 5 favorite games of all time. This is not better than Persona 5, but this is very, very close. I think Persona 3 Reload is now almost in my top 10 games. I definitely have to replay it eventually to get that definitive answer, but I think that it's a great RPG. It's on Game Pass. I played it on Game Pass PC. If you have an Xbox or a PC, there's no reason for you not to get it. I mean, it's on Game Pass. If you have a Switch or a PS5, I do recommend paying the full price for the game. I think that you're getting a 60, 70-hour game. Great story, great combat, great production. The soundtrack, I want to go back to the soundtrack. The soundtrack is fire.
There's two in this situation. Here's your chance to attack. That's an enemy down. Good job, Takeda. You take it from here.
Got it. I'll go with.
Oh, he's back.
So, this is our new guest. Good evening. My name is Shuji Ikutsuki.
In this game is absolute fire. I mean, some of the battle tracks, the walking around town tracks, the new surprise attack tracks, just amazing. And if you are big into Persona, you already know that Persona 3 has certified bangers in it. But some of the remixes that they do in this are absolutely, I'd say, better than the original. Some of them are not, but some of them I think surpass the original. If you're a big music person in your game, I mean, the Persona series does not need an introduction. We all know Persona 5 has some of the best tracks ever. Like Rivers in the Desert is one of the sickest boss fight themes you'll ever hear in your life. Like I pump that shit at the gym. I'm not even lying to you. Yeah, so Persona 3 soundtrack, again, you're getting some crazy songs. Anytime I get into a fight, like my head is bopping every time. I'm not even capping right now. Every time my head is bopping in any fight in this game. So after all that, highly recommend this game. I'm definitely gonna replay it eventually. I was trying to speed through this game, which I kind of felt bad, because we all know FF7 Rebirth is dropping soon. As of the recording of this video, I was trying to get all this out quick because I know that game is going to be taking all of my spare time. So I definitely don't recommend speeding through this game. Take your time with it, and really enjoy it, because they even have a new thing in this game where you can rewind. So if you do certain things with your days that you're not happy that you did, you can actually rewind to a previous day. I didn't actually really use this function because I was pretty confident with my decisions, but you can actually rewind. It technically erases your save, and then you can resave it afterwards. But I just think it's a really cool, quality of life improvement that they made in this game. So yeah, it's another add-on to it. Atlus is killing it with the remakes. Apparently they're going to be making Persona 4 Golden remake, which I'm very excited about, because again, I didn't play Persona 4 Golden, but I heard that game is probably the best Persona. Some people jump from Persona 5, some people say Persona 4, some even say Persona 3, but I think I've heard more people positively talk about Persona 4 than any other Persona. I don't know. If I'm wrong, let me know in the comments below, but all I can say is that if Golden gets a remake, it's done. It's done. Then after that we need Persona 6, and then we're all eating good afterwards. So yeah, that's my review of Persona 3. Amazing game. I'm excited to see what is next from Atlus, because I really love my JRPGs. I'm going to be getting Infinite Wealth eventually. It's just, man, like after playing this game, and then playing Alan Wake before, and I'm still playing Tekken, then Final Fantasy's coming out. Like, I can only play so many 60 plus hour games. So I think after Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth, I'm going to take a break from my RPGs, but then I will get Infinite Wealth eventually, and we'll do a review. You know, I love the Like a Dragon slash Yakuza franchise. But yeah, guys, I'm excited to see what comes in 2024, because so far 2024, I thought this was going to be a fill year, but this year is actually crazy so far. So I think it's going to get better. I really do. But yeah, I just want to thank you all for watching the video. If you like what you see, hit that subscribe button. Follow me on Twitch. You know, I'm always streaming Tekken or Call of Duty, or you know, when the new games come out, I do stream those a little bit. So if you want to see my first reactions, especially when Final Fantasy 7 drops, definitely come follow me on Twitch at King Calf. Hit that subscribe button, leave a like, leave a comment, all that jazz. And you know, King Calf signing out here. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch y'all in the next video. Peace out.